my lovely spooky darlings, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel, depending on which way that goes. Either way, you are welcome. So first and foremost, if you've clicked on this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribed, hit the notification bell, and leave a like, leave a comment, if you're new. If not, if you're already subscribed, thank you. I really appreciate it. Please like the video, of course, that helps me out. And let's get on with, who am I? If you don't know, my name is Amber, and I am the owner and creator of this channel. I am a witch, a practicing witch, and I like to just do stuff here that allows to maybe touch on some topics that maybe not a lot of witches do. And it's all for education purposes. I simply want to educate young witches who may be trying to get into the craft and don't know quite where to start. On March 21st, really you can celebrate, and again, this is just going off the previous video where I did already mention it, but I will refresh your memories. If you are going to be celebrating any of these celebrations, I highly suggest that you do so at least within a 24-hour period of time. So put the 24 hours as like the least amount of time that you would be spending celebrating these. And you can either take that 24 hours from the day before or the day after. So just kind of figure out what works best for you and take it from there. Yeah. So we'll take a look at Ostara's various means of celebrating it, how you could celebrate it, even if you are a closeted witch or if you're an open witch, and like the various symbols and things like that that are a part of that. So let's begin. So first and foremost, I'm going to cover my, as you know, I have what are called pocket altars. I create these for each of the celebrations so that all I have to do is then place them on my main altar and then proceed with the celebration. So for instance, this is my pocket altar for Ostara. I hope you can see it. I'll try to get as close as I can. I'll try to take it the best I can. I obviously don't want to tip it right over. So I've made every single piece on this pocket altar, as you can see. Okay? So I have like eggs. There's some crystals in there, and I've got, the centerpiece is the candle. And I've got some little like birds and stuff in there. So yeah. The center of it that the candle is sitting in, it's sitting in a mixture of salt, crushed eggshells, and a few other herbs that go with the Ostara, which I will be covering all the herbs that you can put into the celebration in just a moment. Again, as I mentioned in the previous video, but I'll just quickly go over it, I tend to use white candles. Samhain is one of the few that I don't, and sometimes for Yule, I don't. I use different colored candles for those ones. But for the most part, celebrations, I use white candles. So once again, I am using a white candle for Ostara. So what I did was I made these cute little eggs. So the eggs do come off. So I made these eggs. They're actually made out of hot glue. And I used a silicone mold. I used a silicone mold to create them. And then I just painted them. So I made some eggs and a little bunny and stuff, and there's feathers because all those are representations of Ostara. Which I think is a great segue to go into. So if you see me looking, by the way, down, I'm looking at my phone because I have notes, cliff notes on there for all the different things because I wanted to make sure to give you guys the best and most accurate information that I was spraying. So what you would be doing is you're basically, because Ostara is the celebration of the equinox, so it is the celebration of the equal day and night cycle. So daytime is just as long as nighttime on this day. And that's why you celebrate it, because it is kind of like your official springtime day, right? So it's kind of like for us, it's that official where everything is in balance, right? It's perfect. Night and day are balanced. Spring and winter are balanced in this day usually, and just everything is supposed to be in balance. As a result, you can use, like I have a bowl, right? I have my bowl, but you could make a scale as well and make it balanced, right? And then you could use that as an altarpiece as well. Would be brilliant, to be honest. Yeah, so you want to include a lot of springtime, but also decorate yourself with those colors, which I'll get into in a minute. So just hang with me. The other thing is that you want to celebrate by using, like baskets are a big deal, especially if they're woven. Make sure that they're woven. If you can weave a basket, congrats to you, and absolutely weave your own basket and put it on there. Because I always say that if you make it, it's better. I do not know how to weave a basket, so I often buy stuff like that. I know I'm terrible that way, but I do make a lot of my stuff. Other things include, obviously, springtime foods. Lots of springtime foods that are only available kind of in the springtime era. You can use as offerings. What else? What else should we cover here real quick for symbols and colors and things? Well, in addition to that, any candles that you want to put on can obviously be all these colors. Gold is also kind of associated with it. And lots of things like that. So you can put anything like that on your altar. Now, I also just mentioned, before we kind of move on, I just mentioned that you could decorate yourself. Now this is something, I don't know why I didn't say it in the previous video, but I really should have, because it is a big part of things. If you are a closeted witch and you can't have an altar out, and you maybe are a little afraid to put out even a pocket altar, I would highly suggest that you then show your celebration in different ways. It all comes from you. I did mention that in the previous video, is that it all comes from us. It comes from our souls. So if you can't be that open about it, a subtle way of doing things is cleaning your house, wearing certain colors on certain days. For instance, the celebration of Ostara, if you wear more pastels on that day, that's a great way. Or if it has symbolism on it from Ostara, such as bunnies and eggs and things like that, or chicks, which around that time of year, Christians and Catholics, or I believe Catholics, please do not come for me in the comments. I am not very familiar with the Catholic religion. I'm more familiar with Christian. I should be more familiar with with Catholicism. Excuse me. I did try to say that awful fast. I apologize. It's Catholicism. And I will look into that to educate myself further. But anyway, in either case, I know for a fact Christian culture this is when they are celebrating Easter. Easter is, and I mean, Easter is celebrated by a lot of people in general, but I do know that it's obviously a big day in the Christian faith. So, as a result, you do have options there to subtly fly under the radar, because a lot of that has to do with Easter is transferable into Ostara, namely rabbits, bunnies, eggs, woven baskets, like all this is, and even chicks and things. This is all very similar to the Christians' Easter, right? So you can hopefully find clothing with that on it, or symbols of it, that you can keep in your room in a subtle way and transfer it instead from Easter into your Ostara. So hopefully that helps. But again, the wearing of the clothing and colors and things like that, you can do that for any of the religious holidays that we celebrate. Ostara, Yule, Samhain, Imbolc, all of those. Any of these celebrations that I mentioned, you can wear clothing that either have the colors. You can also do your makeup. Do your makeup in those colors. That's a very personal thing. So just kind of keep it in your mind, right? So I hope that green, bloodstone, clear quartz, green moss, agate, jasper, moonstone, and rose quartz. Those are all the crystals that are associated with this holiday. And as for putting them out, again, you can put them on windowsills, you can put them on your altar, put them in your pocket altar. You can even put them in your own pockets if you want, and carry them with you. Put them in your purse, put them in your wallet. It really does not matter. As long as the crystals are present, and as long as they've been properly cleansed and prepared and things like that. Yeah, so moving on to herbs, I suppose. So anything that I mentioned, like, you don't have to just have them on your altar. Any of the items you can keep with you. You can put them on windowsills, put them around your house in various ways, shapes, forms. I just do my altar because I live with my family and I am very respectful that they are not practicing witches. So I am very respectful, and my room is my space, and this is where I do my stuff. So again, I'm going to read off the cliff notes because, again, I don't want to miss any, and I've got a terrible memory. So the herbs and flowers that you can use for Ostara are clover, crocus, daffodil. Oh my. See, this is why I had to read. Forsythia. I hope I said that right. It is quite the name, but I believe it is Forsythia. Garrus, honeysuckle, iris, jasmine, jonquils, there's another one you see, lemon balm, lilac, lilies, mint, narcissus, and yes, that is a plant, peonies, tansy, right? I did write that as right? Yeah, tansy, tulips, and violet. Sorry, some of the names are very long, and they are not ones a few of them I'm not fully familiar with because I try to stick with plants and herbs, obviously, that are grown in my home country, right? So, and I live in Canada, so we have a lot of snow. As a result, I don't have some of these more exotic herbs and or plants available to me. But yeah, so a lot of those some of those I'm a little unfamiliar with, but a lot of them are just your basic springtime plants and flowers and herbs. Now to tie in with that, we're going to quickly move on to incense and oils, and then we're pretty much going to just talk a little bit after that about the celebration itself. Okay? So again, for your incense and oils, oh, and I'll mention trees in this at the end of this as well, because we always cover that. So for incense and oils, you have cedarwood. Oh, I'm not familiar with that tree. Oh, yes I am. I'm sorry, I was reading it wrong. Some of the font I have is a little weird that I wrote it in. I should have wrote it better. Anyway, it's cedarwood, geranium, grapefruit. Now that I'm not familiar with. Helichrysum, jasmine, lemongrass. There's a dot on my screen now that I just discovered, and it was blocking off part of the N in lemon, so I had to concentrate on that. I was like, what does that say? And I was like, oh, it says lemon. Anyway, lemongrass, lime, patchouli, Roman chamomile, sandalwood, tangerine, vetiver. I always struggle with that one. It's vetiver, I believe. Wild orange or lang lang. Okay? Oh, and I said I would mention the trees as well. So we have acorn, dogwood, elder, olive, pine, and willow. So those are all the herbs and trees that you can use on your altar or on yourself. Also, something I also didn't mention in the other video is any of these herbs and tree pieces or anything like that can also be used in spell crafting upon that day. So if you want to practice by doing a spell, a specific spell on that day, look for spells that use these herbs and incense and all that, and trees and stuff in them, because they will be more powerful as a result. So, yeah, so I think we have covered, most of the stuffs. So, as for the actual celebrating of Ostara, much like the other, my cat's back there, much like all the other celebrations, usually, as I said, you either do about a week before start celebrating, or you celebrate at least 24 hours for this. Would be my suggestion. What you can do is you can light the candle, again, overnight, just like with the previous with Imbolic. But because Imbolic was very specific, because it was actually part of the celebration. With Ostara, I would honestly just suggest lighting it for like a day. So like, if you can light it around dawn and have it go the entirety until dusk, that would probably be the best. So it's kind of the opposite of Imbolic, where you go dusk to dawn. This is dawn to dusk instead. And that's how I would suggest you do that. Again, if you're not comfortable leaving a flame lit for that long, you can get a battery operated candle and put it in there and have it burn from dawn till dusk. Or you can do just a couple of hours if you want. Again, it's not very specific because it is not really a part of the celebration to have the candle lit for the entire time. If you want, you can just light the candle, the flame candle, for maybe 2 or 3 hours. But I would seriously suggest trying to make it from dawn till dusk, for the simple fact that it will just provide more ambiance, and it will be more effective for anything that you plan to do in terms of like rituals or anything like that. Alright, well, my goodness, I think we're mostly done. Just to touch on one more point that, again, I sort of made in the other video, but not really. The biggest things you can do to celebrate any of these is food and drink, okay? Any celebration that was ever done was always done over food and drink, and still technically is. So if you really want to celebrate these with family, and they're not practicing, or they're kind of, it's a little taboo, you can always cook for your family, or buy them, if they're of age, of course, you can buy them a drink, or you can buy drinks in general, such as soda pop, or even if it can be something as simple as you go out and you buy a jug of milk for your family, okay? Literally, things don't have to be so grandiose. Everybody thinks that because you celebrate these things, that it has to be large and gigantic and, singing and dancing under the moonlight with a big bonfire going. You don't have to be that extravagant to make an impact on this. It can be something as simple as cooking a meal for you and your family, your immediate family. Or it can be as simple as you randomly bring them lunch on that day. If you don't live with your family, right? You could simply buy some lunch and go join them for a lunch for a day, or invite them out to lunch if, the C word, as long as you're obeying the restrictions of the C word, of course. But yeah, so you don't have to go too grandiose. You can also just, like I said, if they're of age, your mom likes a nice glass of wine, you could bring her a nice bottle of wine, okay? And in terms of just, if you're a practicing witch and you live alone, that's cool too. Cook yourself something really nice that evening. Don't cook yourself the usual stuff. Cook yourself something that you really want. Buy yourself a bottle of booze if you're of age, right? And just enjoy, right? That can all be a part of the celebration. Celebration is what you make it, basically. And that can go for any of these, any of them at all. So you don't have to be grandiose about it. Anyway, I think I've touched on everything for Ostara, and I think I've talked enough. So I'm going to bid you all adieu, and I hope that this helped some young witch somewhere kind of get started. Have a happy day. I hope you have a really good week, and I hope you enjoy. We're in October now, so I hope you enjoy the spooky season. Yeah. So from me to all my fellow witches, happy Samhain, which will be coming up, and